We turn to the skies in today's Consumer Alert. Just weeks ahead of one of the busiest times for airplane travel, 6 Democratic senators are pressing the Federal Aviation Administration. As Stephanie Gosk explains, they're asking the agency to stop any further restriction of plane seat sizes due to passenger safety.
It's not just long security lines, luggage fees, or flight delays that could make this upcoming holiday travel season a nightmare. One of the biggest complaints from passengers?
I think the seats are very small, uncomfortable.
Are we all supposed to be short so we can fit into an airplane seat?
Industry standard would be good for everyone, especially us taller folks.
Similar messages overwhelming the responses to the FAA's request for feedback about whether standard plane seat sizes are needed for safety reasons, like an emergency evacuation.
If the seats are too cramped together, that's going to make it hard for many folks to be able to get off that aircraft quickly.
Within the over 26,000 comments in the FAA's public forum, travelers telling the agency everything from flying has become torture to seats are too small and legroom is too small. And not only do smaller seats affect comfort, they are also a safety issue.
If we don't get minimum standards, then airlines will continue to shrink the seats.
Flyers Rights is a passengers advocacy group pushing the federal government to step in and stop airlines from making seats even smaller. And since the 90s, that width shrinking from 18 inches to more like 16, and the distance between seat backs decreasing from 35 inches to sometimes less than 28.
People have been getting larger, both in weight and in height, and the seats, on the other hand, have been shrinking. So we feel this is a safety risk.
The debate taking off in the skies and landing on Capitol Hill.
According to Scott's Cheap Flights, JetBlue, Southwest, and mainstream airlines like Delta, American, and United tend to have the most legroom, while budget airlines like Spirit, Frontier, and Allegiant have the least. Still ahead at noon, a pork chop recipe that will have your guests asking for seconds. We're heading to the Mr. Food Test Kitchen next.